Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Frankenmuth server. This is how the server looked right before the April console versus PC challenge. This video is going to give you a little bit of a wrap up on the challenge. We all know at this point that console team was victorious. Congratulations, console team. You truly outplayed the PC players for this particular challenge. Now, before we go and take a look at it, this video is brought to you by the entire console team and the entire PC team. Thank you for participating. Now, what we are seeing here is we are looking at the map exactly how it was when this challenge started. Both teams started with the exact same save game, the exact same mod loadout. The mods were required to be cross-play compatible. It was the original intent, given the name of the challenge, that this was a intent to have Team Console play on console, Team PC obviously playing on PC. Didn't quite work out that way. It was more like Team Crossplay versus Team PC. Team Console did have some portion of their player base using PCs for the entire duration of the challenge. Not quite the intent, but at any rate, we had a ton of fun overall, and maybe one day we'll be able to have a full-on console versus PC challenge of some sort, where we do have full-on Team Console, full-on Team PC. But that's all water under the bridge at this point. Let's take a look and further talk about the challenge. So, of course, the map was Frankenmuth. Servers were to run 24/7 regardless of anyone being on the server, and they were going to be running at 2 times clock speed. We started the server at exactly 9 a.m. in August. The seasonal calendar was disabled, but we did have 4-day months enabled. We were working with the hard economy. Teams were not allowed to hire help. Stones and weeds were enabled. Lime and plowing were also enabled. Crop destruction was turned on, and the fuel usage was set to high. So this was intended to be a hard challenge where we definitely had to do a lot of work and had to keep an eye out on our fuel usage. Teams were required to maintain a minimum number of animals. That was 25 pigs, 25 cows, 25 sheep, and 15 chickens. We could, of course, have more than that, but that was the required minimum at all times. Silage bales could only be used for feed. And that was because in past challenges, we turned out into basically who can make the most silage bales and sell them at the BGA challenges. Didn't really turn out to be a whole lot of fun for a lot of people because every day was the same. It was make silage bales. Forestry was banned. The only way you could do forestry was if you had to get rid of a troublesome tree, then you were required to use a mulcher in order to basically make it go away. Therefore, you weren't selling the tree for any sort of profit. That is because in past challenges, we had seen things basically degrade down to who could cut the most trees. And that is definitely not fun for a lot of people for an entire month's duration. We started with no starting equipment and $3 million to the bank. So we had to buy our own land. We had to buy our equipment for up to 10 players at a time because each server was a 10-slot server. Mods were identical across both servers. As I said, they were set to be crossplay. Now here we have the sheep farm. And this farm is built out on the Frankenmuth map, except that we added this sheep pen, which has 25 sheep in it. Just down the street, I built out for this challenge a little bit of a pig farm. Placed 2 sheds and a large pig building, and we put 25 pigs in it. We continue to make our way over to the main farm. That's where we have chickens and we have our cows. We also started out with a few fields. Let's go ahead and take a look and see which fields we owned at the start. We started out owning fields 2, 3, 11, 12, and 14. We also owned, obviously, the sheep area. We owned the pig area. We owned the main farm and the area of grass right across from the main farm. Teams were not allowed to sell land. So those fields were required to be owned for the entire duration of the challenge. Teams could buy fields all they wanted, but again, they couldn't sell them. So that was obviously to prevent field flipping. Then there were a series of points. We're going to go into the point breakdown in another video, but here we have, or another segment of this video. So we have the main farm, all the sheds, as you're going to see on a default Frankenmuth save. I did add a small chicken coop, which again has 15 chickens in it. And then across the street, I added a large cow barn with 25 cows. And that is basically how the server looked on day one at 9 a.m. game time, when both servers were started and teams entered in the field of play. Now, what we're going to go and take a look at is we're going to take a look at the console side on April 9th. And then we're going to take a look and see where the PC side was on the same April 9th. If you remember, April 9th was when we had our very first accounting. So let's fast forward 9 days and see what the console guys were up to on April 9th. Well, the console guys clearly have been busy. We are April 9th. We're approximately 196 hours into the challenge at this point. As you can see, these guys, they have basically deleted all the buildings. They've sold all the buildings off the main farm here. They have gotten rid of the starting chicken area, which is fine. They're required to maintain a minimum of 15 chickens. They can buy another chicken coop, put 15 chickens in it, and they get rid of that coop, and they've satisfied the rule set. So we now have, what? 2 chicken coops. We have 2 cow pens. We have a silage bunker. We have a BGA. Looks like they are using a trailer and possibly a belt type system in order to maybe unload the BGA. They've got a nice little bit of manure piled up. Well, let's see what else. We've got the AJ Bill buildings. I will say that on our side, I forgot to add these buildings for about a week. So we were maybe at a slight disadvantage in the first week because I forgot to add those buildings. That's all my bad. We've got some other production buildings here. Let's go ahead and take a look at their production tab. So we own a bakery. Bakery's not turned on, but we've got it well stocked. We own a dairy. It's well stocked. It's turned on. We've got things set to be stored. We own the oil mill. We're making canola oil. We've got the flour mill. We're making flour of all sorts and distributing that. We've got sugar and sugar beet cut in the sugar mill, storing sugar. We've got 1, 2, and 3 greenhouses, all making tomatoes. We've got a grass dryer making hay. We have a total mixed rations station. So we are mixing up total mixed rations. We've got a fermenting silo that's taking grass and turning into silage. Of course, we have good old lime production. Take our stones and make lime. But thankfully, this is not the one that takes a little bit of stones and makes a massive amount of lime. We've got 4,000 stone inputs for 2,000 lime inputs. We've got a fermenter here, which is taking our silage, slurry, manure, and sugar beet cut and converting it into electric methane and digestate. We have a slurry storage tank. And then we have 1, 2, 3. Well, let's just scroll fast. 7, 12, 27, 30, farm production buildings. Got a silage bunker. We've got a post fermenter taking our digestate, making it into electric, and then we have a generator that is basically doubling our electric and methane. Looks like we've got a couple silos over here. Let's go over here to production row. That is what I have affectionately called this area of the map. And this was used by both teams as our area of production. Kind of ironic. Both teams chose to basically build out this area as our area of production. You can see console side. Sorry about console side was a little bit maybe more organized than we were at the very start. Week 1, April 9th, they're already numbering. That's a little backwards, but they're already numbering their productions. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 30. And I'll say this is where PC lost the challenge. Right here. Right there. We knew it was inevitable. We would not beat them on points because we had a slightly different mindset initially up till about April 6th. And April 6th, I did give our key strategist a clarification on the rule set, which drastically changed our strategy. Console side, they were already making that assumption with respect to the rule set, and they were clearly already prepared. Now let's take a look at our land values over on the console side. Remember, we started out by owning fields 2, 3, 11, 12, and 14. They now own 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 22, 23, and 41. Take a look at our animals. We have a whole lot of sheep. We got 50 sheep, 100 sheep, 150. We have 200 sheep. Sorry, pigs. We've got 65 sheep. We've got 360. We have filled up both chicken coops. We have a whole heap load of cows. We have brown Swiss and Holsteins. Interesting. I wonder why we have brown Swiss. Maybe console side can comment on why they chose to go with 94 brown Swiss versus just decking them all out with Holsteins. And as I mentioned, we had all of the production. Now let's go and take a look at where the PC side was. Around the same general time frame. Welcome to the PC side, the same general time frame, April 9th. You can see that we maintained some of the farm buildings here. We did, at this point, add in the AJ fill type buildings. We also moved our chicken coops, and we moved our cow area. So we had it here when we started. We put it over there. We swapped out our silo. We added a couple silo extensions. And at this point, we had a sugar beet cut storage area, which is located right over there. Now, we chose a rather different path with production, which ultimately was where we kind of lost the challenge from basically the first accounting. And that is because we had a bit more slots taken up with our biogas plant. So as we come over here to what we set up as kind of our biogas area, you see that we've built out quite a sizable setup over here. And as you can see, or maybe as you saw, console side, those guys were pretty tight with their money. They had $600,000 at this point in time during the challenge. No debt. we had nearly $3 million worth of debt. We were debted out. And we have $77,000 to our name. But this biogas plant, it was a moneymaker. And it is how we financed our probably first half of the challenge. Let's go ahead and take a look at our production. So you can see for our production, we had a bakery, we had a cereal factory, we had multiple dairies, we had an oil mill, we had a grape processing unit we already owned. We had, as you can see, we already had grapes at that point. We had a spinnery up and running making fabric. We had a grain mill. We had a sugar mill. We had our tailor shop. We had our silage bunker going on. We had multiple fermenters. We can see 1, 2, 3, 4 listed here. I believe we had a couple more that we're going to see lower down in the listing. We had a post fermenter, which was taking our digestate and making methane electric charge. We had multiple generators that were taking our electric charge of methane and boosting it. We had slurry storage. There's a third generator. Had a greenhouse so we could get all our cakes running. Digestate stories. Here's another second dairy, third dairy, fourth dairy, fifth dairy, a sixth dairy, a seventh dairy. We had an industrial bakery operating, making cakes and bread. Then we had a couple more fermenters. And then we had our farm production buildings. And this is where, as I've said, this is where we've lost the challenge. Mathematically, we could no longer produce more points on a regular basis than console, because these farm production buildings, they make flour twice, they make one sugar, they make bread, they make cake, they make raisins, they make grape juice, they make all 3 types of flour, they make cereal, butter, and cheese. Based on the points breakdown, these farm production buildings make 85 points worth of production each. Remember, I just told you, console had 30 of them already on April 9th. We don't have 30. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 21 farm buildings. So we were down 9 farm buildings. Remember, there's a max of 60 production areas. We have a whole lot of production tied up right here. Now, it's pumping out a lot of money, but it's not pumping out a lot of points. And everything that we have spent on production here at the BGA, we can't sell. We are stuck with it. We're stuck with all those dairies. Those dairies are not pumping out 85 points each. So mathematically, we have lost already after the first accounting. So here we had our silage bunker. We had a silo right here. We used the rope a mouse. So the rope a mouse is awesome. We used the rope a mouse to basically take silage. It has this conveyor belt that unfolds, and we could basically ingest silage and dump it straight into the silo there. We could empty about a third of this silo by just dumping it straight into the silo there. And then we could take a trailer, couple set of trailers, and basically run it out here. We could empty 3 million liters worth of silage in about an hour. As far as animal goes, we doubled down on pigs. See, we have 2 pig areas here. And we bought, I think it was 27 pigs every month until we maxed out. And then we started selling 27 pigs every month. You can see here is our sugarcane area. And this area, I think, really came back to bite us when we added precision farming because of how precision farming works. But we maintained this whole area with sugarcane. Then we had 3 sheep pens, all pumping out wool. Go ahead and take a look at our animals. We had 1, 2, 3 sheep pens with 65 sheep each. Here you can see those groups of 27. They should be about 1 month apart. 2 of those. We had 1 chicken coop, 360 chickens. Second 360 chicken coop. And at this point, we only had 1 cow barn with 240 cows. Let's take a look at our land ownership at this point. At this point, we owned fields 1, 3, 4. We had field 8. That was our secret grape field. We later bought field 7 and then added olives into the mix. See, we owned all of these areas over here at this point so we could place our production. Then we owned fields 11, 12, 13, 14. We owned 21, 22, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, 34, 36, and 37. We had a massive grass field. We saw this plenty of times in the stream. It felt like the only thing I was doing was either grass or beets, because we had the massive grass field here until we were required to plow it under with one of the weekly accountings. And then we had our large beet field over here that we progressively expanded seemingly every week by buying more and more fields and making it more and more beet until the very last end of the challenge, where we had beets from street to water tower. Now let's go ahead and advance 1 more week. See what console had on April 16th, halfway through the challenge. April 16th accounting. Doesn't look like there's too many changes here at the main farm. They've added another silo or a silo extension. Got a lot more machinery scattered about. Got some slurry storage tanks going on. Let's go over here and check out production row. Now, something else the console side guys did a lot more than we. That was, they did a lot more contracts early on. So by the first accounting, they had way more contracts than we did. And at that point, we really just had a benchmark. We knew exactly how many contracts we could do in order to make sure that we didn't do more than they did. And they pretty much knew that they could freely do as many contracts as they wanted at this point, because they were not going to get the points for least number of contracts. But we also knew that they really didn't care because of our production row. Here we're up to 15, 16, 20. Remember, they had 30 last week. There we got 30. 31, 2, 3. We've got more. 34, 35, 36, 37. Here they've got all their bees. All their bees' knees. See, they are working on a lot of fields now. A lot more fields owned at this point. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what their land ownership looked like at this point. In the end, we actually owned the same amount of plots of land as I counted them out. 33 plots of land. So they own fields 1, 2, 3, and 4. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 21, 22, 23, 24, 26, 41. Surprisingly, they owned a lot of the same fields as we did at this point. Let's take a look at the production. They have the bakery, the cereal factory, the dairy, the oil mill, grape processing unit, and they are running grapes through there. They've got a fabric mill, their spinnery, their grain mill, their sugar mill. They've got a clothing factory going on. They've got their 3 greenhouses, and they're making tomatoes and lettuce on top of the strawberries. We never did anything other than just strawberries. They've got their production, their farm, feed, um, production chains here. They've got their line running. 72,000 liters of stones. I'm wondering if they were maybe manufacturing stones by basically just plowing a field a bunch of times in order to produce stones in order to get the lime. They've got their fermenter in there. Then they have all of this production all running all the way down the list. As far as animals, we've got 50, 70, and 50 pigs. Got a bunch of sheep going on. We've got our 2 sets of 360 chickens. At this point, we have 2 cow areas, 240 cows apiece. So yeah, they are doing it pretty good. I haven't merged, as best I can tell, a whole lot of fields at this point. Fields still look fairly separate. And let's figure out where they had their grapes. Where did they put their grapes? Wow, their grapes were down here. They went with a whole lot more grapes than we did. Boy, did they double down on the grapes. We just had a little bit of grapes. In fact, I'll show you the grape area that we had when we get around to our side. But boy, they really, seriously went with the grape production. We kind of made enough grapes in order to have enough to keep the production running during the accountings, but not during the entire week. It looks like these guys have maybe seriously invested in the grapes, which is kind of interesting because we know grapes are very expensive. You see they've got $980,000 at this point, halfway through the challenge. They don't have any debt. Now let's go take a look and see how the PC side fared April 16th. On the PC side, as you can see, the farm is pretty much how we had it last week. Still have our cow area. We've added now a second cow area. We still have our 2 chickens. Got some silos put in here, and oh lordy, here comes the beet field. Begin the beet field, the great beet harvest. And you can see we have merged all of this, as we saw last time, in a giant grass field. Our BGA is still pumping out the same BGA setup. We didn't add any more to the BGA after we built it out. We've got grass ready to harvest. See if we have anything in the bunker. At this point, no, it's been emptied out. We're just waiting to fill it back up. Collecting our straw. Got our cows. We've got our sheep up there. Not as cows, our pigs. Got our sheep. Here we have our sugarcane growing. Getting ready for another sugarcane harvest at some point. Let's go over here and check out our grapes. Then we'll go down there and check out production row. See, we have a whopping $3,000 to our name, and we are in debt. We still have $390,000 worth of debt. We've managed to clear $2.7 million worth of debt in 1 week. Don't tell me that BGA wasn't capable of pumping out the money if we could keep it fed. We had problems keeping it fed and keeping us pumping out money later on in the challenge because we started chasing the production, in my opinion, a little bit too much. But here we had 4 rows of grapes, 5 rows of olives. That way we can maximize on our oil production. But like I said, we were making just enough grapes just enough olives to feed the production when the production needed to be fed. Let's go take a tour down production row. At this point, we wised up a little bit and started numbering. See, we have 29 of these. Remember, console side had 30 on April 6th, April 9th. We have 29 a week later. You can see we have a heap ton of pallets. We were storing up stuff. We were waiting for a good time to sell. Something else that really bit us, and quite frankly, we never added it back. We had the liftable pallets mod. Liftable pallets mod got updated. When we updated it, it was messing up, right? It was spawning pallet after pallet after pallet after pallet. Just constantly spewing out pallets. So we turned it off. We took it out. As soon as we did that, all our pallets vanished. Every single pallet that we had, gone. That was painful because we, as you can see, have a ton of pallets. Here we have all of our bakeries. These are probably all pallets of chocolate. As I said, we were storing our pallets. This was before 1.4. We didn't have a pallet limit. We were storing up all of our honey. We put our honey spawn point over here right by the cereal factory. So all we really had to do was just push it over there. Or at this point, pick it up and walk it over there. Here we placed our industrial bakery. You think we were making some cakes? Storing some cakes, clearing the spawn point? The spinnery. The regular bakery, again with cakes. Bread all over the place. Took liftable pallets out. All of those pallets vanished. Every single one of them. Here's the Ropa mouse. Yeah, it's oil out the wazoo here, just shoving it out of the trigger to keep production going. More chocolate, very likely. And let's go ahead and look at our land ownership at this point. We own fields 1, 3, 4, 8. We own all of the land down here on the side. We owned field 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 34, 36, and 37. Let's fast forward one more week. See what the console side looks like. Week 3 saw the introduction of precision farming and the stipulation that we had to maintain a environmental score of 85 or greater, or we had to lose 300 points. Week 3 also infamously introduced the pallet limit, which I don't know when the console guys realized there was a pallet limit. We definitely didn't know there was a pallet limit for a while, until it kind of became much more public at that point. I don't know when the console guys figured out that there was a pallet limit, but you can see how they are getting around this pallet limit. We're using the 82 Studio trailer, parking it close to the pallet spawn points, or what we're probably going to see over at the console row, our production row. They were basically placing that on top of or directly beside the spawn point, so pallets would spawn right on into the trailer. And therefore, they had a long time to go before they had to really worry about the pallet limit. Since we're already talking about precision farming, let's look at their environmental score. 88. 88. Let's take a look through their fields. 1 and 2, 97, 98, 98, 99, 97, 93, 93, 96, 98, 99, 90, 97, 98, 98. These guys figured it out pretty dang quick. What did they figure out? You might want to know. Look at this. Let's go turn these off. See that little bit? They plowed just a little bit of land there. A little bit of land there. A little bit of land there. Everywhere that they owned land that wasn't a field, they plowed a little bit of land. See? A little bit of land. A little bit of land right there. A little bit of land. That was not a trick we knew. We didn't know that. As a result, that plot of land, all of these plots of land, all of these plots of land that we owned, they were all plotting against us. Because they were really bringing down that environmental score. You don't see it show up here because it's not a field. But it's bringing down your environmental score. We didn't know that. Good on console for figuring that out. We didn't know that. Take a look at our animals. Got lots of pigs. Got our 65 sheep. 2 big chicken coops. 240 cows each. Let's go over here to production row. See how many of these nasty buildings they have now. 34, 35, 36, 37 different buildings. Let's go over to production row. They have automated. They're dumping into the bunker at this point. Console players, masters of slot count. What do we have here? We've got multiples of stuff. Right? Because they know you pay the piper for the first one. The next one is 1. Right? So we have multiples. Multiples of everything. If you're going to have one of them, then you might as well have at least 2. Because you're only paying the slot piper 1 more. PC side, we played What's on Sale Roulette. Seemed like every time I jumped on the server, we had completely different equipment because other stuff came up on sale. We would sell whatever we had previously bought on sale and buy more stuff. Is that what ended up keeping our money back? These guys have nearly $5 million at this point. Take a look down here. See, there's a little bit of plowed ground. All their production. Plenty of those 82 studio trailers. I don't know if these guys ever got into olives. $37 of those buildings, same as they had last week. So they have started merging fields for sure. A couple fields are still unmerged. They've definitely started merging the super field over here. Let's go jump over and check out the PC side. Same time frame, April 26th. April 23rd. Sorry, I misspoke. Here we are on the PC side now. See, we have now doubled down on our cows. We now have 4 cow pens. We have our 2 chicken pens. We've got a ton of 5 million liter silos here. We got our big Bergolt cedar operation going on. 2 more of the 5 million liter silos here at the main farm, as well as the silo we put down. BGA is still pumping out money, $2.7 million. Remember last week, we were still $270,000 in debt. We made $3 million in the course of 1 week. There's our Ropa Mau that we went and bought. Started to clear out some of the buildings up here at the sheep pen. Got our 2 pigs. And we have gotten rid of our sugarcane because we were trying as hard as we could to get these EV scores up. As I said, we didn't realize the trick about needing to plow up plots of land that weren't owned, that weren't fields, until too late. We have expanded our grape and olive operation up here. Still haven't doubled down the way console side had. You see, we definitely have more olives and grapes. We were chasing the EV score up here also, trying to figure out how and why we just couldn't get these areas completely up very high. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at our EV score. 75. That's right. We lost 300 points. We were 700 points behind at the end of the 3rd week from Team Console. 98, 63. Remember, this was our sugarcane field? 63. But we had 100, 97. 72s. 72s. 96, 100, 100, 99, 99, 99. Look. 70, 70, 81, 97, 70. We were really struggling to get a couple of these up. And at the time we were thinking, well, we just needed to get the fields turned over yet one more time to get them up to 100. But we were suffering a labor shortage at that point. We had 5 really committed players that were on the server most days for a few hours a day. I was able to come on 4 days a week on a good day for 3 hours a day. That was about it. We have 29 of those production buildings. I mean, overall, Team Console had 17 unique players on at this point during the challenge. We had a total of 10 unique players on at this point in time during the challenge. We were really suffering from a labor shortage. Just did not have the labor to get the fields flipped, to get those last few fields up to 99, 100. And again, we didn't realize the need to plow up these areas that didn't have fields in them to maintain a high EV score. We also, as you can see, we're still hoarding pallets. We knew about the pallet limit. We just couldn't break ourselves of not hoarding pallets. We were learning to use these to collect pallets and store them this way, so they weren't being included. But look, we still have pallets all over the place. And we were running into issues where we weren't getting eggs to spawn. We weren't getting other things to spawn because we kept hoarding pallets. All we had to do was set them to auto sell and get rid of all these pallets. But again, our labor shortage, we just didn't have the time to get that done because we were focusing on trying to get that EV score up. We were just fast forwarding, trying to get harvest ready to get that EV score up, get an EV score up. We lost track of production, in my opinion. We lost track of pallets, in my opinion. And as a result, ultimately we lost money, right? We lost revenue. We lost production. But we got some of our clothing. There we are. We got our oils filled back up again. We got more chocolate going on. Let's take a look at our fields. As you can see, we have merged. We're starting to make our mega field. Let's go take a look at our field ownership. We now own field 1, 3, 4, 8, and 7 now. 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 34, 36, and 37. Pretty much the same fields that we owned as of a week ago. Let's go ahead and advance one more week. It is now midnight, May 1st. All gameplay is over. This is where the boys come out. This is where the men and the boys get separated and we find out who is the true winner. Although mathematically we've already known for quite a long time, but we just didn't have the farm production buildings at this point to keep up with the possible point tally. And even if we didn't lose 300 points because of the EV score, we would have still been down 400 points going into the final week, knowing that we did not have the capability of earning enough points to close the gap, let alone to overcome it. Okay, boys, it is the last day, final hour. It's May 1st, midnight. Challenge is now officially over. Let's see what has happened. So console side has consolidated their animals. They have sold all the buildings. They have bought the cheapest animal pens they can, and they have put in their animals. How many animals do they have? 25 sheep, 25 chickens, 25 cows, 25 sheep. I mean, heck, they could have sold 10 more chickens if they wanted to. They were not allowed to sell any production, so we still have our biogas plant. We still have all of our production row. We still have all of their farm production over here. $27 million. Congrats. Console side, $27 million. That is quite an accomplishment. Let's go over here. What is this over here? What are they hiding up here? There's the 3 greenhouses. This is where the pigs were. What is this? Is this, oh, this is some more of their BGA operation. They wanted to hide their BGA stuff up here, I guess. Keep it out of sight. Okay. Okay, we all are. We're all playing the mystery game. Don't show the other side or our hand. Let's look at their EV score. 93. Dang. They own 33 plots of land. Let's look at field ownership at this point. They own fields 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and 41. Total of 33 plots when I was doing the math on April 1st. 33 plots, and they have an environmental score of 93. We all know at this point how hard it is to get that score up. That's impressive. Impressive for sure. Production, we've got a bakery, cereal factory, dairy, oil mill, grape processing unit, spinnery, grain mill, sugar mill, tailor, 3 greenhouses, grass dryer, TMR, fermenting silo, line production, fermenter, storage, and then we go into the long list of farm production buildings. 34, 35, 36, 37. Then we have the big bunker. In fact, I counted a total of, what did I count a total of? 37 farm production buildings owned by Team Console. That means 3,145 points were possible just from the farm production buildings alone. 3,145 points just from all of their farm production buildings. I have to give some mad props to Giants. I mean, we had up to 10 people on each server, more often than not on the console side, no doubt. We had all 60 production slots being used. Who knows how many pallets or the pallet limit kicked in. Tons of slots being used. Tons of slots being used by both sides. And from what I understood, frames were a little bit of a lag on both sides, depending on where you were, depending on your hardware. But overall, the game held up. Didn't have any issues. Had one minor issue where console side seemed to have somehow gotten a corrupted save. I had to help them roll back a save point at one point. They lost a few hours as a result of that. I think it was a bad configuration on some piece of machinery that they bought. Maybe they did double down and put in some olives. What is this? This looks like an olives. Maybe they did this the final week in order to get the olive oil production going. There's their grapes. So yeah. But in total, Team Console had 11,189 points over the course of all 4 weeks. 3,396 points in the final week alone. Let's pull some other interesting stats. As I said, Team Console had 17 unique players through the entire event join and participate on the server. In the end, they had $27 million to their bank account. They used 217,000 liters of fuel for that month. They worked 18,167 hectares of land. They harvested 2,644 hectares of land. They made 7,966 bales. They bred 105 sheep and 710 pigs during the contest. In the end, they ended up owning 33 plots of land. And of course, took home the virtual trophy of inaugural winner in the console versus PC challenge. Now let's go check out Team PC's final save. Welcome to Team PC, May 1st, midnight. We're in our McCormick. This McCormick had some sentimental value, so we decided to keep it. This was the very first piece of machinery that we got on the farm. Had a total of 153 hours on it. We bought this. I think we got this used. I don't know. We maybe bought it new. I don't remember. We had 153 hours on it in the end. We spent plenty of time on this piece of machinery, and we thought it would just be appropriate to leave it here to kind of commemorate the entire month and the trials and tribulations that we all went through. Now, we did not maybe have the forethought of swapping out our ammo buildings and getting a little bit more money. We managed to get $22.5 million. Not bad for being $3 million in the hole at the first accounting on May 9th. But in the end, we were still $4.5 million shy of Team Console. Again, remember, Team Console had 17 unique players over the course of the event. We had a total of 12 unique players over the course of the event. Between the third week and the fourth week, we managed to recruit 2 more guys to come on in and put some hours on the server. So we ended up with an even dozen. How did we fare on the massive bean harvest, or beet harvest? Well, we left a lot on the field. We ran out of time. We ran out of time harvesting beets, and we had to start selling stuff. So we kind of abandoned our beets and we went to selling stuff. Let's go check out our production row. See where we finished things off. Now I saw the console guys sold their beehives. We left the beehives. We kind of thought the beehives were production. They didn't show up in the production tab. We could have sold them. They wouldn't really netted us too much money, but was console in the bad for selling them? Not really, because they don't show up in the production tab. I mean, but they do produce honey, so at any rate, not a big deal. We've got our greenhouse, or we got our, all of our dairies. We numbered our dairies so that we could help keep track of when we were feeding them. Still have a few random pallets lying around that we just didn't have time to collect. How did we fare as far as interesting stats? We made a total of 3 bales. 3. We didn't even make those. We bought those because we had an idea of putting bales in a ditch in order to fill it in so that we could drive over it. Didn't work out so great. We bred 960 chickens over the course of the month. We also bred 960 cows over the course of the month. 105 sheep and 1,828 pigs. We were a pig breeding machine. Did it help us? Maybe. Did it help us win? No. We consumed 165,000 liters of fuel. We teasingly said it was because we got rid of the Phoenix about halfway through the event. Went with man trucks. I know the console guys love their Phoenix. We were kind of joking around. The Phoenix was a gas guzzler. We also joked around that the John Deere harvester the console guys wanted to use was a gas guzzler. Was it really? I don't know. You'd have to look through the XML to really establish, I guess, if it's more of a gas guzzler than anything else. But we have less people on the server. We naturally had probably less hours on our machinery. So we were naturally going to use less fuel. We ended up working 11,459 hectares of land. And we harvested 2,200 hectares of land. And in the end, we managed to do 66 missions compared to consoles 166. Where do we score on environmental score in our final week? Remember, console, they were, what, 93? 79. Some of these fields were just a scourge. 98, we finally got that one up to 99, 98. 70, 7 and 8. Scourge of our existence. 70. 97, 74, 98, 83, 98, 82, 82. These we had someone unknowingly apply too much lime, and as a result the pH is way too high on this section of the field. And the only way to get rid of pH is to just run harvest after harvest after harvest after harvest through it. And it would have taken like 10 harvests to get the pH back down. It just wasn't time to fast forward through all of that. 98, 97, 98. If we only knew about the need to plow up a little bit of land on all of these non-field areas that we owned. Because we owned a lot of these little non-field areas. And if we had only known that, then we would have been able to get that EV score up. In the end, we all owned 33 plots. We owned fields 1, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 34, 36, and 37. We also owned more non-field plots of land. But in the end, I counted 33 plots on both sides, which is kind of interesting. Now, as far as total points scored over the entire event, well, we managed to score 9,718 points over the entire event. Console had 7,793 points at the end of week 3. So we ended up with a difference of 1,471 points. Like I said, the major difference was that we invested too heavily in our biogas plant. We invested too heavily in our dairies. And as a result, we were significantly short in the we were significantly short in the number of farm production buildings that we could put down because we reached our 60 production limit. And with each of these buildings being able to pump out 85 points a week, that put us at a serious points production deficit. So guys, I hope you all have enjoyed this summary video. I hope you all had enjoyed the April challenge as a whole. It takes a lot out of participants. Don't expect another challenge anytime soon from anybody that was involved. We need to rest. We need to recuperate. And those of us that create content, we got other stuff we need to get done because it seriously does impact our overall channel and what we can get created. But I do it because I enjoy these little challenges. I know other people enjoy doing them. They may think otherwise at the end, but they ultimately have enjoyed it. I hope everybody on the console side has enjoyed it. I know everybody, for the most part, on the PC side has enjoyed it now that they've had a little bit of time to decompress, if you will, from the stresses of the last week. But anyway, let me hear down in the comments below, what did you all think of the April challenge? And if you've got any ideas for a future challenge, what are they?